Something like maybe around a year ago, I started becoming interested in this this phenomenon known as the troubled teen school. Um, I first got wind of it, although I kind of knew places like this that existed, um, but I didn't know just how deeply scandalous the kind of things that were going on in these places was. I didn't know how brutal these places were. I didn't know about uh, kids being taken from their homes in the dead of night and dragged off to these horrific settings, which are basically it, kind of like prison, only I would say worse than prison, because it seems like a place. These places seem like they are under the cover of being all about tough love. What they really seem to be about is providing an environment of maximal trauma. The kind of things that have gone on in these kinds of these so-called schools, the things that should not have been legal, but were allowed. I mean, because obviously, these schools had deep connections, and the people who ran them, these schools were moneymaker kind of places, and the people who ran them were they were tight with politicians who knew that this was bringing money into their community. So there's just a lot of as I said, deeply scandalous activity, and I can't ultimately imagine the kind of price that a lot of young people have paid in being the victims of these kinds of schools. I think that what first brought my attention to this whole phenomenon was a documentary by Liam Sheff is his name. Unfortunately, I don't think he's with us anymore. But he did a series of videos some time ago, maybe 12 years ago, something like that. And they're still posted on YouTube, and I will link to them below, concerning a school called CEDU, spelled CEDU. Again, the one of the, I guess, flagship schools of this troubled teen kind of type of school. Although there are, the number of them are maybe in the hundreds, maybe more. I don't know exactly how many there are. And when Paris Hilton came out with Breaking Code Silence, this was maybe 2 years ago, maybe longer ago than that. Whenever it was that she came out with her documentary about having been sent to one of these schools when she was a teenager, that brought a lot of attention to the subject. But afterwards, it seemed to sort of subside. And in the meantime, a lot of these places still exist. This is not, this is an institution that might be on the wane right now, but they have not disappeared, and there has not been a comprehensive reckoning of these schools and the kinds of things that have taken place in them, the kind of just immoral activities that have gone on there, the kind of cruel and unnatural kinds of things that were just part of the de rigueur routine of schools like this. So I have tried. I've been trying to put these kinds of places into a wider context, and just to understand what role these schools. Calling them schools is a misnomer. Nobody learned anything at these places. People were discharged when they were able to finally leave. Some kids had to stay until their 18th birthday. Some kids were there for a year, 2 years, or even longer, because they weren't legally able to get out of this situation. Some of them tried to run away, of course, and many of them met ends that were less than desirable. Often they were found and sent back, but also a couple perished. One girl was abducted by a truck driver who raped and killed her. These schools tend to be out in the middle of nowhere. If you run away, there's really nowhere to run to, and there's a lot of wilderness all about. Now, I became acquainted or semi-acquainted with somebody who has the handle December 24th, and I'm still subscribed to his channel, and his channel is still up, and I encourage anybody who is interested to watch it. December 24th, out of everyone who has commented, everyone who has shared their testimony of their experiences at these places, December 24th has, I think, come the closest to discussing what kind of role these places play in a wider sense, institutionally speaking, why these places exist. I mean, part of the reason is money, of course. There are always going to be kids who are troubled in one way or another, drugs, alcohol, or bad behavior, or whatever, or just in some cases struggling with fitting in. I mean, I could have been. I'm glad my parents didn't see me as a troubled teen. Although I was during my teenage years. They were certainly not the best time for me, and I did have trouble fitting in and so forth. In a different sort of context, with parents who were more trigger happy or more tending to be concerned. I think about the Suicidal Tendencies song, Institutionalized. Should I provide a link to that too? I don't know. I think I'll let you find it on your own. It's a very amusing song, but it sort of shows the perspective of the troubled teen, if you will, in a sort of humorous but still very insightful and compelling kind of way. He says, "I just want a Pepsi, Mom." And she says, "You're on drugs. Nobody acts like you do unless they're on drugs." So anyway, that was a little bit of an aside. I haven't heard from December 24th in a long time. he was recording his experiences and sort of telling what happened to him, and then also talking about the deep connections, and when I say deep, I mean deep state connections that a lot of these places have. Supposedly, Bain, that corporation that I remember Romney was tight with, they are that they are a big part of what the conglomerate that helped to sponsor these sorts of schools, which helped to bring these schools into existence. So obviously there's money to be had by exploiting, by reaching out, by making these kinds of appeals to parents who are at their wits' end with their son or daughter, and how they're struggling, in their life, and just saying to them, we can help. We're going to send your son or daughter to us, and we'll provide the kind of tough love, the kind of confrontational therapy that your son or daughter needs, to get back on the straight and narrow. It was advertised often as tough love, that, and I think that it was even called confrontational therapy or attack therapy. Like, part of the whole routine of these places is, there are all these rules, and anytime a kid gets out of line in any way, and it seems like the rules are designed to make it so that you will violate them, because there are so many, and that in some ways they contradict one another. So you try really hard to be, for example, if the rules are that you're not supposed to speak out or be disrespectful, then you would tend to just be quiet and just go along with things. But if you do that too much, then you get singled out for not participating enough, and you wind up in the middle of these. I don't know, they're called different things at different places. There's always some kind of obscene terminology that they invent that is applied, but they're basically like struggle sessions. What you used to see in Maoist China, where they would get somebody in the middle of a circle and just yell at them and tell them that they're counter-revolutionary and they should be ashamed of themselves and they can't do anything right. And these are the kinds of things. This is just routine at these schools, to get yelled at and to have the administrators encourage this kind of behavior, and the kind of things that even you would hear administrators say to these kids, stuff like, you're so useless, you should just kill yourself and save your parents the trouble of having had you. They actually say that. I've actually heard, there's actually been video of administrators saying things like that. Not saying things like that, saying that exact phrase that I just said, maybe in different words, but just stuff that you hear it and you can't believe that this is allowed to go on. So what's it all about? I'm starting to, like with the help of December 24th and his testimony, and I do hope we hear again from him soon. And if he's watching this, if this will provide incentive for him to record another video and let us know what's going on with him now, what he's up to, just just because, I can speak for myself and for many others. We were definitely following his videos and wishing him the best, and wanting to hear from him again, just to know where things stand right now with him, because this is somebody who's been through the troubled teen school phenomenon, and then also saw the deep, dark malignancy behind it all, and saw how much these schools are connected to again, powerful people, and powerful groups. And I really think, just to put it in a nutshell, and this is overly simplistic, so I'm asking for some leniency here, because what I will assert here is going to be overly simplistic and perhaps not nuanced properly. But I think it could be said that the kind of people we have illegitimately ruling our society today, they, in a way, would like to make the entirety of our society like these nightmarish troubled teen schools. Their appetite for power and control, and their I would just call it sadism, or proclivity for cruelty, is on that kind of level, that to the point where it seems where it could be called sociopathic, or even inhuman. And so, in a way, I think these schools are like little dystopian experiments that they are putting, setting up here, there, in the wilderness of Maine in the Northeast, or in the Rocky Mountains, or other kinds of remote places. I think there are even some in the Caribbean. What they're doing in these kinds of places, the way in which they treat the kids who are forced to go to these schools. And I'm not denying that a lot of these kids are troubled kids, but I would say that the way in which these schools are set up, and the way in which these kids are treated in these schools, is thoroughly abominable from a human rights standpoint, from just a perspective of compassion and treating others with humanity. It's not that everything has to be permissive all the time. Of course it doesn't. I mean, and that's another interesting thing I guess I would add here at the very end of this somewhat rambling video. This all seems to have a kind of this whole phenomenon of these troubled teen schools seems to have a weird kind of synergistic relationship with a lot of what came out of the so-called hippie movement. You wouldn't think that would be the case, because you think hippies are like, yeah, man, woo, just do what you want, free love, and be a gentle soul, and don't bring anybody down, man. But it seems that out of this whole environment, this hippie environment, which to a degree might have been probably was controlled. You don't have to go full-fledged weird scenes in the canyon kind of perspective. You don't have to go full throttle all the way that way. Weird Scenes in the Canyon is a book that is interesting. Don't have time to go into it right now, but to a degree, I would say this movement was always controlled on some level, always encouraged on some level. The sexual revolution, which birthed in some ways this whole movement, was something that came out of the state, it was the CIA who first administered LSD. They were the LSD mavens. So anyway, the question of how these schools, which still exist and still traumatize kids, vulnerable children, really, today, this is something that I think needs a more thorough investigation. And I look forward to hearing from somebody who might have more to say. And I look forward to hearing from December 24th, hopefully soon. No pressure, but if you're out there and you're watching this, we'd like to hear from you, man. So anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know your comments below. My name's Andy Nowicki.